With the holidays right around the corner, it's time for me to start planning all the festive meals and treats for the season. Frozen Washington red raspberries are the ultimate holiday shortcut to flavor, as they are picked at peak ripeness and frozen within hours to lock in their bright, sweet, tart taste. I love raspberries in my desserts, and boy does this cran raspberry pecan tart sound delicious. Grown by passionate farmers in Washington state, they're frozen with care to ensure top quality and food safety, and it always feels good to support local American farmers. And here's the best part. They're always in season. When you buy American-grown frozen raspberries, you're getting fresh off the field flavor all year long. You can find them at Costco, Kroger, Meijer, and Winco Foods. Make sure to look for product in the U.S. on the bag. Check out True Fruit Mars Hyper Chilled Chocolate-Covered Raspberries and Smucker's Raspberry Jam. Want to learn more details on where to find American frozen red raspberries plus recipe ideas and cooking tips? Head to redraz.org. That's redrazz.org. You'll find participating retailers as an inspiration for every meal, plus info on how these berries go from farm to freezer with quality you can taste.
All right, fellow romantasy lovers, I've been waiting to talk about this one because it completely took my weekend. The epic romantasy finale, Dawn of Chaos and Fury by Melissa K. Roerick, is finally here. And if you're into anything Book Talk is raving about right now, you need this. This is the fourth and final book in the Legacy series, a dark romantasy packed with fae, dragons, shifters, vampires, witches, meddling gods, you name it. And what I love about this world is that it's not your typical medieval fantasy backdrop. Think high fantasy meets modern tech. Magic everywhere, but people are still texting, driving, dating, using computers. It gives big Crescent City vibes in the best way. And honestly, I got so pulled into the emotional roller coaster. The heroine is dealing with depression and anxiety, and the way the story handles her mental health made the stakes feel so real. Plus, the tropes. Fated mates, morally gray chaos, one bed, touch her and die. It's basically a Book Talk bingo card of everything we love. Now, if you haven't read the series yet, this is the series finale, so don't start here. But the good news, all 4 books are out now, and they make such a great gift for that friend who is constantly reading romantasy and keeping up with every online book trend. Dawn of Chaos and Fury is on sale now, available for the first time as a Kensington trade paperback and ebook. So grab your copy and dive into the chaos. You can find Dawn of Chaos and Fury by Melissa K. Roerick wherever books are sold in print and in ebook. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of Dateable.
Hope you all have happy full bellies on Thanksgiving. I eat my face off every year, so it's no surprise that I will be feeling bloated. Without a doubt.
Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays for sure. Every year. I think it's just one of those holidays that, you come together with people and just eat a shit ton of food. How could that be bad?
I still remember the Friendsgiving we had at Kate's house. And I think I had just started dating my ex at the time. And we all went over there. It was so much fun. But I remember there were like 10,000 dogs at her house. And one of them took a shit all over her living room. It was not our dogs.
Wait, I thought it was your boyfriend's at the time. No?
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
okay.
It was not our dogs because they were with us. And then we came back into the living room and there was shit all over. But he was nice enough to clean up the shit. So I remember that being like, oh, this guy is a good guy because he cleans up other dogs' shit at a house that's not even his.
He just doesn't clean up his own shit. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. I'm going to use that.
He doesn't track his own marks. I'm just we can go on for a lot of analogies here.
He just shits everywhere else, but he'll clean up someone else's shit. Oh, that's so good.
That was a fun Friendsgiving. I know every year I alternate usually by going back east and, doing a Friendsgiving. So I was originally going to stay here because, we've been doing a lot of travel for the honeymoon and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like since the wedding too, I've just been like, I want to spend as much time as possible with family. And like clearly the holidays is like everyone gets together and it's a good opportunity to just see everyone at once. So we did it.
Yeah.
We made the leap and went to Boston.
I'm glad that you did it. I think we are like our time with family
it's limited.
It's limited.
And then you're like, what's like a plane ticket at the end of the day or like 5 hours on the plane? That's what that's what I think about. Yeah.
Agreed. I do find that a lot of my friends, as we get older, want to spend more time with family and be closer to family. I actually have a friend moving out of state to be closer to family.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I just need, like it's just more important to me these days. So
fair enough. But I think Friendsgivings too, like if you don't have the luxury to go back or you don't have family, like there's so many benefits of the Friendsgiving as well. I think just being with, whoever or, master date Thanksgiving style, we've seen it all.
Yeah. I'm doing a Friendsgiving with some friends at this Korean restaurant that does a special duck. Julie, I'm going to report back because if it's good, we're going to get it next time. It's a duck where they put sticky rice in it and they cook the duck so the rice soaks up all of its flavors for, I don't know, 48 hours or something like that. I can't wait to report back. It's going to be good.
I'm excited. I feel like the next couple weeks are just like so jam-packed with holiday stuff. And then we leave again for Florida for the holidays. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's going to be your life for a while, right? Like the flip-flopping between the families. Yeah.
It will. We will have a really good brunch talk to kind of end our brunch talks for this season where we talk about, like all the things you can do during this holiday season. Because I really think like outside of maybe Halloween, I think the holidays are like that hidden gem for being single that no one knows about. So make sure to check out the brunch talk. But we think there's a lot of stuff you can do regardless if you're single, coupled up, master dates. Like there's all the things that you can do during this time of year.
Yeah. Even if you're single and going through some work on yourself, like our guest today, Phil, who is definitely going through some of that, like a metamorphosis of sorts. And he is someone who has fully embraced the fact that he needs to live his life differently.
Yeah.
And he's completely doing that right now.
I love this episode so much. It was so much fun recording with him and then re-listening when I was editing it. I was just like, oh, this is good to hear, especially from a man. I'm not saying like, obviously everyone it's good to hear from, but I think like sometimes we get a lot of men that are confused. And it's nice to hear one that is, at least has a vision of where they want to go, understanding they're still a work in progress, but recognizing when they've been emotionally unavailable in the past and taking the steps to really like remove those blocks. It was really refreshing, in my opinion, to hear.
I read on a Reddit thread that someone was criticizing us for being too lenient on men, for being too nice to our male guests. And I think where we come from, and someone was defending us like, well, they believe in fairness and letting everybody speak and without criticism, right? And I do think maybe to some people we are lenient or we're too easy on men. I also think it takes a lot of guts to come on our show and to tell your story and to be public with your journey. So someone like Phil today is about to be very, very vulnerable in this conversation. So we applaud that first and foremost.
Yes.
And then second, we have to honor people's journeys and where they're at. And yes, this could be triggering for some who've probably met a guy like this at some point and was like, they broke my heart or they traumatized me in some way. Totally get it. But this is a different person from the person that was in your life. So we have to separate the two. And then let's just honor people for where they are. and then honor people for where they want to be. I so respect Phil in this episode for telling us where he wants to be and that he's not there yet.
Yeah.
Mad respect to that.
I do like, though, that he has plans and is taking action, and he's doing more trial and error, too. He also gives a lot of tips of kind of rejiggering his social life. So, again, for people that are looking for new ways to meet people, and he really talks about shifting from going out at night to really doing a lot of stuff before sunrise. So he's made some big changes there. But yeah, I mean, I think to your point of like judging people's journeys, I just feel like it's sometimes hard not to judge people, especially when you're like listening to a podcast or listening to them talk. Like we all instinctively want to go there sometimes. But at the same point, it's like if any person was to put their life under a microscope, there's some things you're proud of, and then there's some areas that you're not. And there's some things that you're like, look, I know this is holding me back. Like I'm thinking of the conversation we had a couple episodes ago where we talked to Steve and he was like, I know that like say I want commitment and then run from it. Like he's like, I'm aware and he just can't get out of it. And like, I don't think that's like a judgment, but it's more of like having kind of like in a way empathy for him that I'm like, this is kind of like, he wants to get there. Like he wants to do it. Like, yeah, like instead of like, I don't know, like hounding someone that like, why can't you commit? Like what would be the benefit of that?
Right. And I think having these conversations, we get to see what happens behind the scenes. So for someone who dated someone like Steve, probably was like, oh, he's probably going to be a fuckboy for life or whatever, bachelor for life. They only see that externally on the surface. But then if you go beyond the surface, you start to see like why he is the way he is and what is really blocking him and why can't he get through the blocks. It makes you, like you said, like you definitely have more empathy and then just compassion for everyone.
I think that's the big piece. And that's what we like to do is obviously hear people's journeys and their stories. And like, I mean, I think Phil has taken so many steps to break out that a lot of people can apply to their own lives. But then also just to hear like the inner workings of like someone that is struggling a little of getting to that next life stage. And, you know, like I know for me, it was really like, this sounds weird, but it was helpful to like hear my ex share like why he couldn't do things. It didn't change the outcome. Like it sucked that like he couldn't commit the way I wanted him to, but it made it less personal. And I think when you don't hear this, like you just assume like, oh, they want to be in a relationship, not just with me. But that actually isn't the case a lot of times. I've learned it's like a lot less about you, especially when someone is showing up and like wanting to be with you. A lot of times it's where they are in their own capacity, and hearing like the internal dialogue reminds us of that.
And you're going to hear a lot of that with Phil. How did we meet Phil? Well, I met Phil in Amsterdam at Mind Valley. He came to my talk and he came to the dinner that I had right after the talk. And let me just be super honest and transparent that when I first met Phil, I made so many assumptions about him because he's a very extroverted guy. And I think people who are extroverted sometimes are misunderstood. Okay. So I thought Phil was a big flirt. He was there to meet women. He had a lot of female friends at this event. He was flirting with everybody and like cozying up with everybody. There was a very beautiful dating coach that gave a talk right before me, and Phil's like, oh, I'm grabbing coffee with her right now. So I'm like, okay, he's one of those. I totally misjudged him. But when we went to dinner, that's when we got a little deeper about why he is the way he is and what he's trying to accomplish. And I was like, oh, this guy's way deeper than I thought he was, than I gave him credit for. So I told him, when I told him about our podcast, he's like, I have a pitch. I want to tell my story. And he wrote a really great pitch of what he would talk about, and which is exactly what you're going to hear today.
Yeah, I think this is extremely relatable. I mean, first of all, like anyone that likes to hear the inner workings of the male mind, which I know a lot of people do, anyone though who has struggled with going to a different life phase, like I know I definitely went through this, and a lot of my friends did too, that it's like, okay, I've kind of outgrown the party stage. And I don't really want to go out every Saturday, but I'm not in a couple. And now I just feel like I should be going out because what am I going to do? Just like sit at home by myself?
Right.
And then you're like in this weird straddle of like, I should be doing all these like activities to meet people, but it's not really honoring where I am. And then eventually kind of figuring out like what that looks like of like, okay, I still can, be in the world, in community, but not necessarily do the lifestyle I once had. Like I can move into this new lifestyle. And we talk about it as like kind of like this like relationship prep period. We talk about it even in our book, How to Be Dateable, that like sometimes this slowed down pace of life really signals that you are ready for something different. And it's like the start, it's like the nesting period, like before you have kids, for instance, when you're like preparing and getting everything in order, it just isn't as obvious. It isn't as obvious when you're not pregnant.
True. True. There are signs. I was reading about signs of when things are about to shift in your life. And the major signs are, one, you get really nostalgic. Maybe you're reminiscing about old times or an old fling, an old friend. And then also chaos. You are in the middle of chaos, whether that's physical like chaos or mental chaos. You just feel like there's a lot going on and it feels overwhelming. But those are indicators that something's about to change in your life. And I think Phil is in the middle of that chaos right now because something's about to shift and he's already making these changes. And I'm so excited to see what next year brings for him.
Same. He's definitely someone we have to check in on. He's also pretty funny too. So it's a good, enjoyable episode. So we hope you take a lot away from it. Okay.
Yes.
Of course, another thing that you can take a lot away from is our book, How to Be Dateable. Perfect. I don't know, stocking stuffer for a friend.
That'd be a really big stocking. But yes. Yes, theoretically.
The Kindle version, you just get him a Kindle too.
Coupon to get the book.
To get the audiobook. Okay, it's a good like Secret Santa white elephant maybe, if you have a lot of Signal friends. I don't know.
Yeah, a white elephant gift would be interesting.
Or
someone would be like, yourself. Is this a joke? Is this real?
Sometimes you need to just gift yourself something this time of year.
Yes. This is what I like to do. I like to buy myself a gift really far in advance that I forget about it. So when I get it, it truly feels like a gift. So you can like delay shipping or tell like your parents to ship this to you at a later time. Just make it a surprise. It's romantic.
Also, the book is really marked down right now.
Yeah.
It's this time of year on Amazon. Like, of course, get it anywhere. Go to your local bookstore. We're always for that. But
that too.
If you are being price conscious, because we get it, there's a lot going on this time of year. Amazon is really on sale. So you might want to take advantage of that. And we actually have no control of these sales, like zero.
No.
We don't have control. Our publisher doesn't. It's really Amazon. So this could go away tomorrow. Like, we have no idea.
Yeah. So get on that. Something else you can get on is our coaching app.
Yay!
We launched this beautiful, incredible coaching app. I really feel like it is a work of art. It infuses AI and infuses our most popular course, Finding Your Person. And every day you are fed some customized things to do and activities, whether that's a prompt, a challenge, a question to think about. You can also talk to the AI, talk to the app, text it. There's a lot of interactivity on a daily basis if you choose to interact with it that frequently. But it is one of the coolest things that we've ever done in our lives. And to be able to be like, now we have this AI coaching app. It's so cool. Like, yeah, we're pretty proud of it.
It's so cool. And we're working with a company called Studios. You can go to studio.com/dateable. They're the brains behind the technology. We're the brains behind what info we feed it. So we gave it a lot of the audio lessons in our Finding Your Person program. We gave it, our podcast feed. So it will share with you the right info you need given where you are in your stage of life. And I think that's so cool in terms of dating, because the reality is we are all kind of going through something a little different all the time. Yeah. So it's not just like this universal one size fits all. Like I could be like recovering from heartbreak and you could be deciding, should I go on another date with this person? And you can basically share where you're at. And what else is cool about it is that you get this real-time feedback, because we've had this happen before. And again, we're all for like processing your patterns and thoughts and all of that with a coach or a therapist. But it's really hard to like ask kind of like, should I send this text? Or, how should I go up to this person at the bar and I see them literally in front of me? Like, you have to wait for an appointment. Like, you can't just like text your therapist. Like, I don't think they would appreciate that.
Or you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. But pretty sure they're not going to be like Saturday night. Okay, let's do an emergency session while you're at the bar to decide like what you should say to this person. Nor should they, because honestly, that isn't really what your therapist is there for. Like,
no, it's not.
And even like when we do coaching, sorry, a little tangent, even when we do coaching with people, we like to get to like the deeper rooted patterns, not just like the nitty gritty. So this is like the perfect way to get that instant feedback. And, obviously with any like AI tool, the more information you share, the more custom it becomes. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool. And this isn't like, out for the public, like ChatGPT. So I think that's really nice too.
Yeah. Your info is protected, safe and secure. And speaking of like gifting season, if you have a friend who's really struggling in dating, this would be the ultimate gift.
It really
because they'll think about you every single day. There's a reminder of you. And if I were struggling right now in dating and a friend gifted me this, I would be forever grateful.
Or even just share the link, honestly. Like, I don't even have to pay for it. Yeah. Just share it for your friend, Let them know.
Be a good friend. Pay for it.
Well, again, go to studio.com/dateable if you want to learn more, or you can always go to dateablepodcast.com to find all this stuff. It's all on our website too.
Yes.
Okay. Well, before we get into it with Phil, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. When it comes to holiday gifting, I want to give things that people really love. Beautiful, timeless pieces they'll wear for years. That's why I'm going with Quince. From Mongolian cashmere sweaters to Italian wool coats, everything is premium quality at a price that actually makes sense. Quince truly has something for everyone too. I'm obsessed with their cashmere sweaters, so much that I own 3 of them. They are so soft and luxurious, and they never pill. It feels like they should cost over $200, but they are only $50. What a steal. My whole wardrobe at this point is pretty much Quince. The craftsmanship shows in every detail, the stitching, the fit, the drape. It's elevated, timeless, and made to wear on repeat. I have my eye on their jewelry, pajamas, and robes that are definitely making it on my gift list. I may just need to buy the stainless steel bracelet Apple Watch band for myself too. Find gifts so good you'll want to keep them with Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
This holiday season, comfort is knowing your home is filled with natural, sustainable comfort for a healthier environment for me and my family. As the holidays fill up with gatherings, travel, and to-do lists, Avocado Green Mattress products can transform your home into a peaceful, grounding retreat made with certified organic and sustainably sourced materials. From breathable bedding to handcrafted mattresses, Avocado is all about true comfort, so you can rest, recharge, and wake up refreshed all season long. Have peace of mind that every product is thoughtfully made with the planet in mind, so you can feel good about the comfort and quality you bring into your home. With Avocado, you can enjoy deeper rest, calmer mornings, and a healthier daily routine. And with financing options with Affirm, it's easier than ever to bring Avocado to your home. Prioritize rest and recharge with Avocado's organic comfort. Head to avocadogreenmattress.com today to create your natural oasis and save big during the holiday sale. Avocado, dream of better. Imagine having a dating coach in your pocket 24/7 and a daily guide so you're never lost. That's exactly why we partnered with Studio.com to create the Finding Your Person coaching app. Now, we were blown away by their AI technology that creates a completely customizable experience based on exactly what you're going through. After 10 years of doing Dateable, we kept hearing the same thing. I wish I had support in the moment when I'm actually dealing with this stuff. So we finally created it. And honestly, we've been so excited about this launch because it brings together the tech we've always wanted, everything we've learned from talking to thousands of daters, and the core content from our most popular course, Finding Your Person, the one that sells out every single time. And inside the app, you'll follow a personalized journey designed to help you get clear on what you want, build real confidence, and break the patterns that keep tripping you up. You'll get quick audio lessons, guided reflections, and simple real-world challenges that make dating feel intentional without the pressure. And there's even AI-powered audio journaling for real-time feedback and encouragement, a coach you can talk to, and insights to identify patterns and growth. Give it a few months and you'll see the difference. Less spiraling, more clarity, and a dating approach that actually feels hopeful and grounded. It's like having a wise, honest coach at your disposal. If you're ready for support that actually sticks and transforms, go to studio.com/dateable and start your journey with the Finding Your Person coaching app today.
Okay, let's talk about the journey to emotional availability.
Well, Phil, hello. Welcome to Dateable, and so nice to see you again. I love this introduction that you wrote for yourself, actually. So I'm just going to read it. Single British man in his 40s who's done the inner work to finally become emotionally available and ready for a committed relationship after a long chapter of global thrill-seeking, temptation, hedonism, and personal escape.
When you sent me this, I was like, yeah, we need to have him ASAP.
Can you tell I work in PR?
It's perfect. You should print that on your business cards.
But really, like, the emotionally available, I mean, I think in general, it's like the number one trait people are looking for, especially women in men. And a lot of men are falling short in this department. So I think hearing your journey of how you maybe weren't so emotionally available and realize that is going to be really interesting for people.
And right off the top, it's a pleasure to be here talking with you. And I want to state I am work in progress. I am certainly not a finished article, but I am doing the inner work. And actually, I've discovered through doing this inner work that it makes love and life such a less mysterious and curious, but like a real work on. And probably I wasn't willing to do the work prior to the last 5 years. I also just wanted to say two things off the top. One was to thank you for my first hangover in about 5 years, because I went to a dinner party last night. I'd stopped drinking more than 3 drinks. That's my rule for the last 5 years. However, the red wine was open and the topic of discussion was emotional availability. I said, I'm going to be on this podcast tomorrow. And there was two girls and 3 guys. And my gosh, the conversation just flowed, and so did the red wine. And I woke up this morning for the first time in 5 years and went, oof, I'm a bit squiffy.
A squiffy.
I'm curious what people were saying in this conversation, but we'll get to that. Yeah. I think we want to start with you and your story, but we'll definitely circle back there.
Yeah. And the other thing was just to say, Yui, congratulations for being in the top 10 Mind Valley speakers in the tribe.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic, because that's where we met and that's where all this started. So
thank you so much.
Congratulations. I took so much away from your talk that day, so thank you.
That community that day was just so great. And then our little private dinner party was just so magical. So I will forever remember that day. But you said something I want to touch upon, which is you said you're a work in progress. Aren't we all? We're all works in progress. None of us are done. But you said you weren't willing to do the work before. So take us back to the time when you weren't willing to do the work. Were you actually aware of this fact? And why weren't you willing to do the work?
Great question. I'm not sure if I was fully aware of the fact, but basically spent my 20s and 30s really living fast. Thrill-seeking, chasing the next adventure. I was focused on freedom and independence as my core values. And I think over our phases of our lives, our core values can change. They're not set in stone.
Yes.
And during my 20s and early 30s, that was it. Live every day to the max. My motto was carpe diem. And also work hard, play hard. So I was working to gain status and money and travel internationally. And on the outside, my life was exciting and transient, glamorous, beautiful locations, fancy hotels, business class travel. But on the inside, if I'm truly honest, it was exhausting. It was lonely nights in hotel rooms, constant jet lag, airports, living out of a bag, and ultimately unfulfilling. I think there's the law of diminishing returns. The more excitement and dopamine hits you chase, the less return you get on those and the less fulfilling they become. And gradually that led me to burnout, which was where kind of 5 years ago, I perhaps got more perspective on choosing depth over breadth, choosing deeper relationships over a variety of them. But yeah, it's been a real journey the last 5 years, and I'm very much still on it.
So did you have relationships during this time, and what did they look like?
I had situationships. And I was, for sure, my attachment style was and has been avoidant and is moving slowly but surely towards secure. But avoidant meant I was very happy to get into long distance situationships where there was affection, there was love, there was emotion, but it was at a safe distance. It was without commitment and exclusivity. For that way, it kind of felt safe, but ultimately not fulfilling for either party.
And were you telling the people you're involved with, were you telling them that you were willing to commit, willing to see where things go, willing to grow the relationship, or were you pretty upfront with your feelings?
Yeah, I never promised anything I couldn't deliver.
Okay.
At the same time, I think I've constantly been curious about what can develop in these situationships. But ultimately, my lifestyle the last 7 years, which has been 80% of the time traveling, hasn't really allowed anything to blossom or grow. And it does sound like a bit of an excuse, but it's also a fact of life. And so the choice I've made this year is to take redundancy from my full-time job, set up my agency, move to Barcelona. And now I no longer have that excuse. I am based in one place. I have consistency. I'm physically available as well as emotionally available. And I think for a little while, the last few years, I've been getting towards emotional availability, but I haven't been physically available because I've been moving so fast.
I mean, this is something we've seen with other daters as well. Like the people that are just like, go, go, go. It's really hard to actually form a relationship if you're never there. It is reminding me of one episode we did a while ago. Do you remember what I'm talking about? We did one with Greg, and it was about like, am I avoiding intimacy? And it was talking about his lifestyle, and he was always traveling, always on the road. And then he actually like put down his roots in Montana, similar to what you're saying. But I feel like the first 6 months he was good with that. And then it started to itch again. And he started to like repeat patterns and was again never around. What's your thoughts on like if this urge comes back, or do you feel like you were just over it?
It's a great challenge and a great question. I think my two greatest fears in life are, on one hand, loneliness, and on the other hand, boredom. And in my period of thrill seeking in 20s and early 30s, I equated a relationship to loss of independence and freedom. I equated it to potential boredom or potential restrictedness. Yeah. Now I'm coming to the realization that a great relationship can actually be a great adventure, and a life shared can actually be a life embellished. But it's taken a long time to get over that sort of inbuilt concept in my head that relationship equals loss of freedom and independence. So I think that's been the big hurdle to get over. And yeah, we'll have to see where we are in 6 months,
we'll check back
time.
in.
But I feel really good in Barcelona. I think I've found my place, and that was key to it. My hedonistic years were in Rio, and Barcelona feels like the Rio of Europe to me, but a little bit more consistent, a little bit more closer to home, and perhaps I can build something in here. Rio, I was really living for the day every day.
Yeah. And when you were talking about the thrill seeking, I kind of want to go back to that lifestyle because I want to paint the picture a little bit more.
The wild nights.
Do you remember a specific moment where you felt like this can't be it? Like, this is not what I want anymore. Or things feel so empty. Was there a moment?
Oh, 20 times over, maybe more. But let's set the scene first of all. I went to Rio because I had a big job, a high-profile job, spokesperson for international media for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So on one hand, I had this very serious and time-consuming job. On the other hand, I was living a crazy lifestyle, surfing before work in the mornings, a party in a favela one night, and the ambassador's reception the next night. So it was really a full-on lifestyle. And like, for example, my second day in Rio, I had one friend in Rio when I arrived, and it was the day before Carnival. I brought 2 suitcases to Rio. One had my worldly belongings in. The other was full of blue body paint because 30 of us were going to paint ourselves blue as the Smurfs for a day in Carnival. And that was my introduction to Rio. So it kind of took off from there. But really, I would say there were multiple occasions on which I woke up thinking, what was the point of that? Or am I just repeating behaviors, repeating patterns? And
give us one example.
Well, to be blunt, I think like sex without connection, it's not worthwhile. It's meaningless, but it takes a few occasions for you to realize that. And actually a walk on the beach at sunset with connection, with conversation and holding hands actually stays with you and is, is something that you cherish a lot more. But I think there is, maybe it's more of a men's thing than a woman's thing in your 20s. There's kind of this chase to experience everything, experience life, and perhaps external validation and the group of mates you have, and chasing status, and in all kinds of ways, not just in the workplace, but in life too. Who you're seeing with, who you're dating. And so, those were the kind of situations where sometimes I woke up and reconnected with myself and realized, that's not who I want to be or what I want from romantic life.
So you mentioned burnout, that you had intense burnout. Was it just like career in the lifestyle, or was it because of these unfulfilling relationships that you were having that just didn't have the depth, or both?
I think it was a combination of things. So my time in Rio came to an end at the end of 2016. And unfortunately, I had to leave kind of in a rush because my father had contracted ALS. I think you call it in the States. In the UK, it's called motor neuron disease. So he had a year to live. So I actually moved back into my parents' home and I took care of him with my own hands for 8 months. And that was really, really sad, but also really, really beautiful. We shared some moments that we'd have never had. So I came from this hedonistic, thrill-seeking life of freedom and fun to looking after a dying father. And being a man without the emotional skills, I didn't process any of that grief when he passed. I got busy. Busyness was my cure. So I packed my backpack and I went traveling around and volunteering around Africa, Asia, South America. And then a year later, it was time to get back on the job scene. So I took a role as head of communications for World Rugby, which was based in Dublin, in Ireland. And the first winter is when the grief caught up with me and the burnout caught up with me. And it turns out that you can't ignore those. All emotions need to be processed. I know that now, but previously I dealt with busyness and with positivity, but toxic positivity. Everything's okay. I'll just go and meet another girl. I'll just go to another party. I'll just do another trip. And that's when the burnout caught up. And loneliness was probably the key factor. I'd started a new job in a new city in a dark winter. And it was a big switch from Rio in summer to Dublin in winter.
And when you said busyness is the cure, okay, the second time around, you were trying to avoid the grief. The first time around in your 20s, what do you think you were avoiding?
Good question. I'm not sure really what I was avoiding or running away from. I just had this thirst for life. I just wanted to experience everything. And somehow I felt like a secure, stable, stay in on the sofa and watch some TV, cook some meals together. I just felt like that wasn't enough life for me at that point in time. And that was almost preventing having that freedom to just kind of go and make a decision, go to a music festival the next day for 4 days. I think it was just a real lust for life was greater than my lust for romantic relationship.
This is maybe a hypothetical for both of you because I'm honestly not sure the answer of it. Like, do you think that people are always avoiding when they're living a busy lifestyle? Or do you think there are people that just want a busy lifestyle and eventually they'll find a partner that fits into that busy lifestyle? Like, they'll go to the music festivals together, they'll do the trips wherever. Like, do you think that's possible? Or do you really believe to have a long-term, solid relationship that expands, like you have to kind of like let go of some of that a little?
Personally, I think maybe you have to let go a little, but also I think probably the best life partner for me wouldn't be someone that is equally hectic and vibrant with their life. I think a great life partner for me would be a spiritual yogi who's super calm, super centered, and super balanced. I've encountered that side of me in the last few years, and I really think the yin and yang can work. And actually, when someone calms me down and we do cook a meal and we do watch something on the sofa, I love those nights.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't realize how much I would enjoy that.
I feel similar. I think, Julie, I was just thinking about Ryan Van Duzer,
Yeah.
our other episode. I think some people do want to feel alive.
Yeah.
And sometimes by thrill seeking and living your best life, that is living life and feeling alive, and you're not running away from anything. But where it gets toxic is that you keep chasing that identity when you've actually shifted away from it, and you feel like, well, I've already presented this side of myself and everybody knows me as this thrill-seeking guy. I can't, be something different. Someone I met at Mind Valley actually was a digital nomad, and she was saying she was ready to settle down, but she was going to move to every country she possibly could until she could find someone to settle down with. And I was like, actually, that's the opposite, right? You have to feel settled yourself first and not depend on someone else to settle you down.
I also personally think there's like extremes, right? Like if you're just like always on the go, then I need to do a 180 and sit at home and, be this like more domesticated lifestyle. And I'm almost wondering if that's what happened to our last guest, Greg. Like he moved somewhere that like was like kind of a little dull, I guess is a good way to say it. He is a gay man. There were like 2 gay men in the whole state. Like it was just like maybe
both.
not the right place, where I feel like maybe there's like more of a middle ground. And like what I'm hearing from you, you're in Barcelona now, that it's like, it's still an exciting lifestyle, but you're not across the world. You're more oriented towards like family and where you're from. And like, I'm even thinking about like, my partnership, like we go to music festivals. We don't go every week, but we go like a couple times a year, and you still enjoy like more of the moments that you mentioned, Phil, of like cooking dinner together. So maybe it's like not all or nothing. Like we always think in such extremes too.
Yeah.
It's super healthy here as well. Like I saw 5 sunrises last week. And it's like run clubs are the new Tinder. Everyone is very addicted to fit and healthy and eating well. And yeah, that's attractive too. You had an episode previously, which I listened back to, called Is Your Independence Empowering or Keeping You Single? And I could relate to so much of that content. I think it was just the 2 of you chatting. And yeah, there were about 5 aha moments in there for me where I was like, yes, I've been there. And being staunchly independent and addicted to freedom, I think it can be a block to sharing life's adventure. And that's where I think I've come around to that actually life shared can be a greater adventure than one alone.
How do you picture that? Keeping your independence and maybe even amplifying your independence while in a relationship?
So I've had the privilege to live in a few different cultures in a few different countries, and I've traveled to over 80 now. And it's interesting. So in Brazil, in Rio at least, when you get into a relationship, you are expected to do absolutely everything together. Every Friday, every Saturday. There is from what I've witnessed, there is a real lack of trust and confidence.
Yes.
And therefore, everything has to be done together. In some other cultures, there's a real focus on independence and having your own life and doing your own thing. Sometimes to extremes, or even I know couples that have their own bedrooms within their house and occasionally share a bed, but not often. From my perspective, it's really important for both myself and a future partner to have our own interests, to have our own friendship groups, to have those things that are yours. My ex-girlfriend, actually, when I lived in London, I used to take her to my football team, Arsenal, to the stadium. But I think it was 3 matches in a row we didn't win when she went. So we decided she was a jinx and that she could do something else with her Saturday afternoon. And when we win, I would bring home a bouquet of flowers, and then everyone was a winner.
I think that's the point, though, because what you're describing is interdependence, is what we talked about on that episode too. Like we always talk about too on this podcast, like if you want to attract a partner, like you have to have a full life. Like you shouldn't just be looking for a partner 100% of your time too, but then you can't be too busy that you don't let someone in. So it is kind of like a catch-22, and there is this like element of balance here. What do you think balance looks like? And like, how do you see if you're using certain aspects as a way of avoiding versus like bringing someone closer?
Yeah, for me, I think the physical, as in geographic intimacy, is a really big part. So I think I've used long distance relationships as a bit of a barrier, and I'm really, really trying to make sure that that's not the case going forward. I want to be together with somebody in a place. But I think balance, it's so crucial, isn't it? Because if you spend 24/7 in each other's pockets, you're of course going to rub up against each other. You're going to have issues with that lifestyle. But if you're completely not letting the other person in your partnership into your passions, into your down moments, I think that's the key thing for me, Julie, is letting a partner be there for me when I'm having a not okay day, when I'm having a grey day, as well as just having, because I think I've been a bit of a romantic, as in the dates can be amazing.
Yeah.
And the offer of romance can be amazing. But then do I really open up emotionally to that same person when I'm having a difficulty with something?
Right. That's
when
the
I'm worried about
avoidant coming through.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the real, I don't know if that's answering the balance question, but that's the real hurdle for me to jump over.
I can see that. I think you're really good at luring them in. You say all the right things, right? But what do you think is your first step? Because I can hear a lot of people saying, I'm in the same boat. I have a hard time letting people in or asking for help when I'm down. What has been your first step into getting over that hump, or have you?
Yeah, my first step has been do the inner work. And what does that mean? For a long time, I said, therapy is not for me. I don't need therapy. Newsflash. Everybody could do with therapy. Every human in this world could do with therapy. And actually, a lot of it has just been kind of me talking out loud and hearing myself. Obviously, the therapist is guiding it and asking a few decent questions along the way. But mostly I've been hearing myself and going, Phil, that's ridiculous. Do you really think that? No. And working with a life coach. And then I'm myself becoming a mental fitness coach. So I have learnt so much along the way, from positive psychology, from coaching, PQ, positive intelligence.
Yeah.
A lot of things about how and why we think, feel, and behave the way that we do. And that knowledge, that base of knowledge, has really helped me to understand myself better. And I don't know if it's true in your cases, but they always say that the author writes the book that they need to read.
Yep.
So for me, I'm doing the work, mental fitness, coaching, positive psychology, because that's what I need to understand better about why I think, feel, and behave in certain ways. And with that knowledge, intention and knowledge is power. I'm starting to make actual changes in my life, like creating a base in Barcelona.
What's another example of a change you're making that's like maybe not moving, but like something maybe like a little smaller that someone could implement?
Well, for example, slowing down is probably my greatest challenge, and being available for someone to do slow down, maybe together with them. And I used to look at meditation as 10 minutes wasted, sitting still and quiet for 10 minutes and doing nothing but breathing and listening. That's a waste of time. Now I've discovered that it's the best 10 minutes I invest in my day every morning, because it sets me up for the next 10 hours with more clarity, more focus, more emotional openness. So that's one little change, one of many little changes I've made. in the last 5 years. And it really makes a difference.
And when I saw you, you told me that you had gone to a few dating events. How are you meeting people? What's your dating strategy?
Yeah, so I'm probably a rare one in that I'm not on any apps. I don't think I have been since pre-COVID. So what's that, six odd years? I love people. I'm a curious people person. And so and I get this from my mum, I will talk to strangers, even on the London Tube, which for any of you that have been to London, that is very rare.
Yeah.
So I am quite good at meeting people. I dance and I'm into fitness and yes, a bit of a social butterfly, but a butterfly that has been moving around from flower to flower. And I think what I'm doing now is taking care of my garden and the butterflies come. It's more of the law of attraction than going out to find. But honestly, in a city like Barcelona or even London, there are so many ways that you can meet people in real life. And I think there is a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want to be on the apps, but I have to be because it's the only way. I'd challenge that. I don't think that's true. I think if you're open, it takes a bit of courage and a bit of bravery, but if you're willing to notice someone you're attracted to and act on it, it's available.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
Imagine having a dating coach in your pocket 24/7 and a daily guide so you're never lost. That's exactly why we partnered with Studio.com to create the Finding Your Person coaching app. Now, we were blown away by their AI technology that creates a completely customizable experience based on exactly what you're going through. After 10 years of doing Dateable, we kept hearing the same thing. I wish I had support in the moment when I'm actually dealing with this stuff. So we finally created it. And honestly, we've been so excited about this launch because it brings together the tech we've always wanted, everything we've learned from talking to thousands of daters, and the core content from our most popular course, Finding Your Person, the one that sells out every single time. And inside the app, you'll follow a personalized journey designed to help you get clear on what you want, build real confidence, and break the patterns that keep tripping you up. You'll get quick audio lessons, guided reflections, and simple real-world challenges that make dating feel intentional without the pressure. And there's even AI-powered audio journaling for real-time feedback and encouragement, a coach you can talk to, and insights to identify patterns and growth. Give it a few months and you'll see the difference. Less spiraling, more clarity, and a dating approach that actually feels hopeful and grounded. It's like having a wise, honest coach at your disposal. If you're ready for support that actually sticks and transforms, go to studio.com/dateable and start your journey with the Finding Your Person coaching app today.
So for anyone listening knows I love timelines. So you mentioned like 7 years ago. This has been like going, like you've kind of got that start of the urge to slow down. I guess over those years, like I assume it's been gradual. Like all of a sudden you just weren't like, I'm living life, going out every night. I know there was death and mourning and grief that came through it. But like what is that process looks like and how many years has this spanned? Because I think it's important to point out that this stuff doesn't happen always overnight.
Doesn't happen overnight. You're right, Julie. I think 5 years it's been a working project for me and still is a work in progress. And one key change I've made is I've gone from being a night person to a morning person.
Oh.
And for me, the best hours of the day are between 6:30 and 9:30 in the morning. That's when all the best stuff happens. And actually in Barcelona, for example, there's essential bachata dancing at sunrise from 6:30 till 9 on a Tuesday, and it's amazing. You can check out on the Instagram.
I already saw. I didn't know it happened. I didn't know it happened that early in the morning.
That is sunrise.
Though. Damn.
That's sunrise. Yeah. There's also yoga every morning. There is run clubs every morning. And actually, I'd say 80% of the new social connections I'm making are happening before 10 a.m.
Wow.
Which is very different.
That is interesting for people to hear.
Drunk in a club. Yeah. Drunk in a club at 2 a.m. Not really intentionally, just bumping into someone because they're in the same space and they're also drunk and they're also looking for something. The other big change is alcohol. Like I have this limit of 3 drinks because what I discovered is that 1 to 2, maybe 3 drinks does lower inhibition, does make us slightly more chatty and confident. But actually, beyond 3 drinks, nothing changes for the better. Lots of things change for the worse.
Yeah.
I think the best version of all of us is probably the 2 to 3 drink version, if that's necessary at all. And this is something I learned in Brazil. In Brazil, they dance because they want to dance, because they like the music, not because they've stood at the bar and had 6 drinks first to work up the Dutch courage. And if they want to flirt with someone, they do it. If they want to kiss someone, they do it. It doesn't need to be after 6 tequila slams.
No liquid courage needed.
And that was a huge life learning and something I've carried forward. And hangovers are such a waste of our lives.
I mean, that's something that I've learned too, because my husband doesn't drink anymore. He gave up drinking completely. And at first I was like, oh my God, like, are we going to like have a life, you know? And then I, you know, in return I don't drink as much either. I'm like similar to you, like the 3 drink max is really where I'm at. Like it's very rare that I go over 3 drinks. And I feel like nothing has really changed. Like, in fact, like things have been better. And we think that alcohol is such a crutch and we need it so much, but a lot of the conversation, the connection, like we've even gone to like, you know, parties and like dancing events and like things that you thought you needed booze for, and it's fine without it.
Exactly. And actually, a thought came into my head there, which is the biggest change in the last 5 years has been accepting, and there's no better way to say this, but loving myself. Falling in love and accepting the person that I am. And that takes maturity, and that takes mistakes and the wisdom of experience, right? And I think a really good relationship is only possible once you've really, truly become okay with yourself. And I think through my 20s and 30s, I was doing a lot of things for extrinsic rewards. And now I'm doing things intrinsically. And if I show up on a date now, I'm not trying to be the coolest version of myself.
Yeah.
I'm showing up as me. And that gives things a much greater chance of becoming something deeper. And also that's because I like me now, you know, and that's the biggest work on I think anyone can do.
Fostering that authenticity that we're always talking about and we preach all the time. But what is authenticity? Is when you truly like yourself and you present in that way. And for the 3 of us, we're all in our 40s. So I think it's somewhat easier for us to think about the days when people talk to each other in social settings. But I think for the younger generations, they don't have those memories to go by. So it's going to sound like a kind of a basic question, but can you take us through, like paint the picture of when you go to one of these bachata events? What are you telling yourself before you go? And how does the event unfold where you could possibly meet someone or talk to someone?
I think dancing is the greatest form of communication. It's body language. You don't need a language. You can be from 2 completely different nationalities. And I'd say at a bachata event in Barcelona, you probably have 30 nationalities there, 20 different languages. And also it kind of already breaks down the first 2, 3. I don't know if you have bases. That's a baseball term, right? It already skips the first 2 bases.
I think our bases are different.
Looking at each other from across the bar. Oh,
our bases are a lot different.
We'll talk about that afterwards. But basically,
we get the analogy though. Yes.
It already breaks down the barrier of physical intimacy, i.e. being in the same space, dancing together, and vulnerability. Dancing is vulnerable. It is something where you, especially in couple dancing, whatever that is, salsa, bachata, forró from Brazil. And so, for me, it's a great form of communication. And everybody dances with everybody, is extremely like friendly and mature. But probably if you're dancing for 2 hours, say, within that 2 hours, there'll probably be 2 or 3 dances where there's a chemistry and you both know it and there's something there. And then, you know, if you do want to swap contacts afterwards or go for, like, everybody goes for coffee afterwards here after every yoga class.
There you go. That's
where.
But despite all this talk on dating romance, my goal for the first 3 months here in Barcelona is just creating my community. So I want to create my inner circle of 5 to 10 friends that are there on good days and bad. And then I want my wider circle of my yoga crew running crew, my dancing crew. So romance I've kind of deprioritized for the rest of this year, but I'm open to something happening in the future.
I actually think that's really important, especially when you move to a new place. But even if you're in the same city and you're just like, I want a different life stage. Like, I'm ready. And or maybe you're in that life stage already and you're just like feeling lonely, because I think that's when we revert and we escape and we go to partying and we go to travel and we always want to be on the go, and we don't have like the community and foundation. It gets easier to like withstand the bad times in dating that inevitably happen if we have people around and we can live more of our authentic selves.
And honestly, that's what I've missed the most in this transient travel lifestyle the last 7 years. Like, my goal from now to the end of the year is to have my local cafe where I go in. They know my name and they know my order without me opening my mouth. That's my goal.
No, it's a good one. You always question though of like, what do you do to like, get going and psych yourself up to like go to these events? What I'm hearing is like, I'm just going to meet people. Like, I'm not going with romantic intentions. And like, I hear our audience being like, well, I don't like dance. I don't like run clubs. Like, what would you say to those
Go to
people?
a book club.
Okay. Like, just find any interest.
Find something.
Yeah, of course. There's a book club in the park here, which is all about personal development books. So it's all about...
They should read Dateable. How to be dateable.
I will bring that up on Saturday. But I would challenge everyone has some kind of interest or passion. Yeah. There's a great community worldwide, actually, but I think it started out of Amsterdam, called the Offline Club, which is events, mobile phone free events. So for that younger generation that are so addicted to phones, go to an offline club, and for 2 hours, nobody's allowed to touch their phones, and you have to interact with other human beings, play games, talk, listen to music together.
So I know you mentioned dating is a little on the back burner right now, but I feel like this is one of those parts where sometimes we think we're open, we're emotionally available, and then we get tested once we start dating. I guess a two-part question, like, has there been any times that your work, the inner work you've been doing, has been tested, where you've been like threatened or wanted to like go revert back to your old ways? Is part one of the question.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this today, but I met someone at Mind Valley.
I'm
not going to mention her by name because she's
please
quite
don't. It's okay.
In her industry and quite private. But she's a New York movie filmmaker, and we've met a couple of times since. And the intellectual connection, chemistry is 5-star, it's great, but it is long distance. So I'm not running away from it. And at the same time, I'm not diving into it. My number one priority right now is creating my life in Barcelona and settling in here. She's also looking at European residency next year. So it's an interesting moment. But for sure, we've had some really good discussions where we've worked through some conflict, which old Phil would have run away from that conversation, would not have shown up. She actually said, I have more red flags than Tiananmen Square on a national parade day.
Wow.
But she also said, you have more green flags than red, and so you're worth the challenge. But when talking about, the history and the pursuit of freedom and independence and things. So we talked really openly, and that's been really, really nice. But I thought that was a great line.
Wait, she said you had more red flags, or she had more red flags?
More red flags than Tiananmen Square on a national parade.
Oh, she's talking about you. I thought she was talking about herself. I was like, that's very self-aware.
No. I was telling, we were talking about previous life phases and lifestyles.
Well, you've been honest.
Yeah. I think it was tongue-in-cheek.
That was part two of my question, actually, is like, have you noticed any areas where you've kind of embraced it instead of run from it? I know you mentioned that example, but is there anything else that you're like, the old me would never have done this?
I think exactly that thing of showing up and being present at events, at social interactions, and the goal not being to meet somebody, to go home with somebody, it's a different mindset from 10 years ago. And I have to be honest, it's a much better way of living life and creating connections and it carries more meaning. And I think that's reflected in my personal and professional life of getting into mental fitness and coaching and having a positive impact on society and wanting to grow in that way. I think that's really helped potentially my future dating life. The other thing to talk about, Julia, I guess, is the timeline of age and society's expectations.
Yeah.
I'm part of a group of 7 best friends from London, 7 guys, and our WhatsApp group is called Married Old Men Plus Phil. So
wow.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
They're all married. They all have a minimum of 2 children. A couple of them have 3. And they live vicariously through me. And then I experience parenthood through them. And I see those moments of pride. And they all tell me, like, having children is the greatest challenge in life, but it's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. And I really respect and admire these friends. They've been there for me through thick and thin for 25 years. I feel like I'm I know I'm a man, so biologically it's different from a woman. I respect that totally. However, I do feel like I'm sort of racing against the clock. So I'm kind of saying, if I want to become a father, I want to do it in the next 5-6 years.
Why?
Why against the clock?
Yeah. What is this clock? What is this 5 to 6 years?
Well, they all tell me there's a lot of energy involved in being a father to young children. My father was 47 when I was born. So he married late. He became a father late. And he died when I was mid-30s and he was already 81. So I think although I'm really focused on healthy lifestyle and longevity, if I want to be a good father to children, then I need to be around. So I think beyond 50, what's the average life expectancy? 80, 82? Have to take that into account, right?
I think that's something I've heard a lot from men too. I think there is yes, it's different biological clock, but there is time pressure for sure. That's a thing. I guess
and society pressure.
Society pressure. That's a big part of it.
I didn't even do the math, but you're right. Mid-30s, your father would be in their 80s. I didn't even think about that because I do have friends whose parents are in their 80s already. And I'm like, whoa, that's mind blowing. But that's the direction we're all headed.
Totally. I guess another, while we're speaking on gendered more, because I think one of the challenges with emotional availability, and I'm curious too, to go back to that dinner party that we were talking about earlier, said we'd go back and we're going to go back. But I think one of the things that you and I hear a lot is women want emotionally available men. That's the number one thing. That's what everyone wants. And tall. Yes. But people...
That's changing a little bit, but yes.
I think there's one piece, though, with emotional availability is one, it's a little bit of a buzzword. I mean, sometimes people can't really define what that actually even means. And then the second part is, and I've experienced this too, I'll admit it, is sometimes when a man does get very vulnerable, it can be seen as weakness a little. And it's a complete double standard that I think a lot of women, and we've seen this before as well, it's I want this vulnerable guy, but then when he becomes too vulnerable, maybe it's a problem. Have you, do you have any thoughts on this topic in general?
Yes. This was the crux of the conversation last night. I only wish the rest of the dinner table were here with me because it was a great conversation. Exactly that. Being a modern man is very complicated in this day and age in terms of you are expected to be open, vulnerable, soft, show soft, gentle kindness. And you're also expected to be tough, manly, provider, security. Yep. Take the discussion last night was, should the man take the initiative to organize the first date, pick the activity, pick the location? Should the man pay for the date in full? Really interesting. A lot of things are still very traditional, if you like, that the man is expected to do X, Y, and Z. However, the modern man is also expected to be emotionally available, be vulnerable, talk about their emotions, talk about their feelings. And I have really strongly leaned into this in the last 5 years, and it's been a great journey and a great challenge. I'm becoming a breathwork facilitator, and I found the power of breath. It's the greatest way to release your emotion. And I was brought up by a father that had no emotional capability. He never said, I love you. He never said, I'm proud of you. He did. I sort of knew it, but he had no skill in communicating that. He was not a hugger. So I have forced myself to learn these kind of emotional soft skills, but it hasn't been an easy ride. And at the same time, we're expected to be a man's man. I'm an ex-athlete. I was brought up to be super competitive, to win at all costs. And that's still within me. And I still love playing sport. And I'm waiting for us to get on the tennis court soon.
Yeah, I know. Next time.
I haven't forgotten. But yeah, Julie, it's incredibly complex to be a modern man. You kind of have to be two sides of the coin at the same time and find that balance. And it's not always that easy to do.
So what was the conclusion of the dinner party? How did you all decide on a definition of what emotional availability is?
The conclusion was the man buys dinner and the woman made coffee.
The man buys dinner, the man is emotionally available.
And that's why you drank a bottle of wine. You're like, okay.
Yeah. So there was a consensus, I think, that probably we are moving and shaking in a community here in Barcelona that is quite leaning into the modern man, i.e. being vulnerable is seen as a badge of honor rather than a weakness in the circles that we hang out in. But we also noted that perhaps in 90% of other geographic locations or other cultures, that may not be the case. And there's a heck of a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, if you look at the rates of male suicide compared to female, or male mental health issues compared to female, men struggle because they're not allowed to be weak. They're not allowed to cry. We're taught from 5 years old, boys don't cry. And it's something I'm extremely passionate about. And I really want to help other men go on the journey that I'm on and succeeding to a fair extent at, which is being vulnerable is a strength and wear it as a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask this question without judgment. So don't think I'm asking you because I'm trying to judge you, but I am transparently just very curious to know how you are handling casual sex in this journey of finding your grounding and your being settled in Barcelona, and also balancing this relationship-ish in New York.
Yeah, the line is really cackly. I don't think I'm getting you any.
I didn't hear that.
You're breaking up.
Sorry?
Next question.
Could you repeat that? No, seriously. Exactly what I said earlier. I think I came to the realization that casual sex without connection is relatively meaningless. I think there's two types of chemistry, right? There's physical chemistry, which can happen on a spark, somewhere, someplace. But then there's intellectual chemistry, which I think you need both. You need the combination of both for things to be really great. But I have over-indexed in the past on beauty, attraction, and physical chemistry, and undervalued connection, conversation, and intellectual chemistry. So I am reversing that now. And for example, with this said person in New York, I'd say intellectual chemistry is 10 out of 10, which is really cool. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not my priority at the moment. My priority is building my community here in Barcelona, and that's going great.
So you're having casual sex, but you're just being politically correct about it. That's what I'm hearing. But no, you are being more intentional about who you're hooking up with.
Not lately, and it's not a priority.
I wasn't hearing that. I don't know.
There's so much going on in life right now. It's not a priority. Like I said, my days, like last week, I did 5 sunrises, and that was 5 times to bed before 10 p.m. And it feels great, honestly. It's a really, really good way to live here. It's quite inspirational. I think the environment affects you a lot. The environment of where you are and the way other people are around. So yeah, it's a different phase of life, and I'm embracing that. I guess a fear of mine was if I settled down in my 20s, if I'd maybe get to mid-30s, 40s with a wife and kids and think like, oh my gosh, I missed out on living and have all these regrets. And so and I've had this conversation with my 2 best friends that I shared the years in Rio with, 2 other English guys. And we said, kind of the goal in life is to have all your life experiences, have all your wild experiences, have all your fun until you're 40. And then you're actually financially stable and mature and ready to be a good partner and create a family. Now I'm 44, so it's kind of like that's where I'm talking about. I'm on this inner journey, but it's slightly longer than expected maybe, and you don't just click your fingers and find the right life partner and the right circumstances. But I'm taking steps in that direction.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I guess one question I have is how do you know when someone is doing like the real work versus being more like performative? Like whether that's someone that you're dating or other men you encounter, like what are some signs that someone's like actually in it?
I think it's like action rather than words, isn't it? It's showing up when they say the word, remembering details, being present in the date, in the conversation, making plans ahead. I think it's actions speak louder than words in romantic situations. And in my avoidant days, certainly I would have been great with words and terrible with actions. So that's a good kind of learning. Yeah, performance. I really don't like that word performance. I actually heard it in where did I heard it? There was a discussion about Gen Z or millennials, etc., about performance anxiety in sex, and I was like, well, the problem is the word performance. You're not supposed to be performing. You're supposed to be connected and in the experience. Mentioned earlier about how you turn up to dates. So in the past, I might have turned up if I was, had a date with a girl that I really admired or was really attracted to, and I'd try and be the coolest version of myself, and I wouldn't show any weaknesses, any imperfections.
Yeah.
I would maybe like embellish how important my job was or how flashy my apartment was. I think that's a phase of life which the quicker you grow out of it, the better, because to turn up and show your imperfections, I got burnt out. Yeah, I got depressed in a winter in Dublin. Yeah, these things actually make you real. They make you more interesting, don't they?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, because I want to go back to the dating events you've been to, because you told me a really interesting story. You went to these events around intentional dating in London, and you had met someone.
Yeah.
And you realized it was actually like a little too much work, like talking too much about the work you've done.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? It's almost
that.
like overcorrecting.
I think it was called conscious dating. Maybe the event itself was great. And yeah, I met a girl. This was very soon after Mind Valley, I think. And we had like a couple of dates, and they were fun dates. And then there was another one where it was like really, really kind of intentions, kind of way too strict and way too black and white. And I think there's a balance between spontaneity and intentionality. And if you kill all spontaneity, then for me, the spark goes out.
I think that's actually what's happened in dating, to be honest. This rise of intentional dating is good in the sense as it's like a backlash from hookup culture. People were burnt that way. And I get it. It's like, I want to go after what I want and be intentional. But I think it's gone too far to like what you were saying, that all the magic of dating has been evaporated. And it's just so rigid now. And it feels like work and a job and not fun. And that's why people are so burnt out.
It's got to be fun. It's got to have spark and excitement, the unknown as well.
And it doesn't mean, I think sometimes actually we can hide behind intentional dating with being emotionally available and vulnerable too. Like if we're so rigid with stuff, sometimes we're not actually like putting our real thoughts out there. We're like hiding behind it.
Yeah,
not available.
Yeah. I guess, is there any parting advice that you would give to anyone that's trying to be more emotionally available in an authentic way, maybe not swinging so far on the like rigid side?
I guess the two bits of advice would be, firstly, do the inner work. Work on yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, and have your purpose for yourself. And then relationships with others become so much more available and fruitful. And take care of your garden and the butterflies will come. I think the second thing is, don't be afraid to show your imperfections. Show up as who you are. Show up authentically. And at the end of the day, if that person isn't into the authentic you, it's better you find that out on the first date than 10 months down the line.
Right. I think this has been such a wonderful conversation. I've loved hearing just your journey and what you're experiencing. I think I have a couple major takeaways from it. The first being you kind of started off like, can you just be busy and fast paced lifestyle, but not avoiding? And I think actually after this conversation, I do think you're avoiding yourself if you
Yeah.
Mm,
never have a time to like just be in your own thoughts. And always, like you mentioned, Phil, of just like being performative on dates or looking for that external
Mm.
validation all the time. And I think for it to really be that you are slowed down and embracing yourself, it needs to come from
yeah.
yourself. And you can't do that if you're always avoiding yourself. So I do think to have a relationship, some parts you need to have some time that you're just doing nothing. And the point that you made too around like, I used to think that meditation was 10 minutes of wasted time, but I realize it actually helps my whole day. I think that's so important, like not just with meditation, but to zoom out in life in general, that taking those extra moments to slow down a little actually might speed
Hmm.
up the whole thing. Like we often think in dating, it's
Yes.
like, I need to go on all these dates and get as many matches. And actually, that doesn't usually get you to finding your person. I know from our experiences and talking to others too, it's like sometimes when you're taking this more like slowed down lifestyle and being, I guess, more intentional in terms of who you decide to spend time with, of like, this person is like aligned with what I'm looking for, that actually can lead to
Yeah.
less dates, but better dates. So
Mm.
again, an example of slowing down doesn't always mean like throwing in the towel or wasting time. It actually can be what moves you forward ultimately.
And it's the paradox of choice, right? It's a real thing. Quality over quantity. And for those that are on
Yeah.
apps, it's kind of you swipe on one person and say yes and go on a date. That means there's 1,000 other options that you're saying no to, and they're in the back of your head, kind of going, "Oh, this date better be amazing because there's 1,000 other options that I said no to."
Yeah.
You're on a losing streak before you start because the paradox of choice.
Yeah. The theme that I keep hearing over and over again with your conversation and some of our previous conversations that were similar is this like chasing of identity. And sometimes we talk about chasing the lifestyle, but I actually think we spend a lot of time chasing our identity. And if you think about it, identity is our past. It's something that you formed from the previous you. And sometimes we try to repeat that, right? Like I'm known as the old married men plus Phil. Like that's my identity. I'm known as the thrill seeking, always on, living out of my suitcase Phil. Like that's the identity. And you stamp that. And then you spend a lot of your future time chasing that previous past. And that's something that I've actually done a lot of work around as well, is to free myself from my previous identity and think about what my tomorrow identity could be. Like the Phil I met at my valley is a different identity than the person that you described in your 20s. And that is the point. Like you want to be evolving who you are, but we can still be really proud of the identities we've held in the past and say thank you, but goodbye. I'm now evolving and shedding you so I can be to the next. So I thought that was a really great conversation about how do you evolve out of this. And then the kind of like the action step that you talked about that really stood out to me was if you want a relationship, start cultivating the relationships you already have in your life. That's building community, that's your friendships, that's your family. When you learn those skills around pre-existing relationships, then you are laying the foundation for a new relationship to blossom. But it doesn't go the other way around. You can't just like fall into a romantic relationship and let everything else fall apart because then you don't really have a foundation.
I love that, Yue, and you've put it so well. And I actually had a little lump in my throat there because the way you described about evolving from one person you used to be into a new person, I'm really doing that. But it is true that probably some people from my past, they don't yet know the new version of me
Mhm.
because I'm geographically distant too. And some of them probably quite like that fun time feel that would have lots of stories to tell, especially
Yes.
if they're married and they've got kids and they don't get out too
Yeah.
often. So I think together with my professional changes going on with the coaching and the mental fitness, there's a new version of me evolving, and I can't wait to share that version the world, but also with someone, because I do believe that life is better shared and the adventure of life can be shared. And it's taken a long time to get there, but I can fully get behind that now.
I know we grilled you about
grilled.
You ain't grilled you. I don't want to say me about casual sex.
I was wondering whether to grill her back, but so far I've withheld. If we're going there again, just prepare yourself.
I do think like during that time, I was thinking this. It's like sometimes like you do get it out of your system, right? It's just like it kind of goes with that new identity. It's like this just isn't important to me anymore. Like I'm not a man, so I won't speak from that perspective. But I know even for myself, like it just became something that I wasn't looking to do. Or I wasn't looking to go on like 100 dates all the time because I had done the serial dating thing. Like, I think we need to have the experiences we've had. So I think if someone is listening to this, that's like, yeah, it's taken me a little longer than my original plan to get to this point in my life where I'm ready for something a little more serious. I think that's okay because you've had all these experiences that have made you who you are. And for that, you'll be the partner you want to become.
Absolutely. And that's okay to change and to have had those experiences. I think, you know, if we don't go through different phases of our life, we'll never have learned anything. We'll never grow. You have to make mistakes along your journey, and you have to have different phases of life. And actually, like I said, with my two best friends from Rio, our goal, our plan was to live life to the max to our 40s. And who's to say that's wrong? Just because other friends got married at 28, had kids at 30.
No.
There's no right and wrong really in life. You do you. But you do have to respect when things change internally in you and when you have changing values, changing desires. And that's what I'm going through.
Yep.
And that's different from the external pressures or society pressures. So I felt that for many years in my 30s. Society said I should minimum have a girlfriend, should really get married, should have kids before I'm 40. Should. And that word should can be really dangerous. You do you, and you do things on your timeline as long as you're being honest and authentic to yourself.
And, you know, you and I love one of our favorite things is recounting those drunken stories that happened like 10 years ago. We wouldn't have that if that never happened. But something we've noticed, we actually talk about this in our book too, How to Be Dateable, is like we've seen this with ourselves, a lot of friends, a lot of people on this podcast. It's kind of like this time in your life that you do kind of slow down and turn inwards and trade in those like late nights for the early mornings like you talked about. It's like this settling period before you settle down. And it's very common to have this like quieter pace of life that you're now more like, I kind of want to do things that maybe I would do with a partner, even though I'm single. And going out and having one night stands and drinking to oblivion isn't appealing to me anymore. So I think to honor that, even if you're not in the place, it might just mean that you're ready for that next stage.
Glad to hear it.
We are happy to witness your metamorphosis and evolution into this next Phil. Thank you for being so vulnerable about your journey and honest about where you've been and where you're going.
We're excited to check in with you in like 6 months. Just see what's going on for your life. Not to put a pressure on you, but just
I would love to as long as we have a pre-agreement about no more casual sex questions. You're in trouble, you.
No, that's in our prenup.
But no, I would love that.
Cool.
And it's been a joy to speak to you both, and you do fantastic work in this space, and it's so important. You know, love and relationships are the greatest human curiosity, aren't they? They're the biggest mystery to all of us. So the more we can explore and delve into this subject, the better. And if there's any men out there that are listening and do have connected with something I've said and want to reach out, like I'm happy to share my social medias and I really want to be of service. That's the new goal for my 40s.
Sure. And we will link that in the show notes as well. But if there's anything you want to share here, feel free now.
Well, really, I'm just on LinkedIn and Instagram. The Instagram handle is Phil Wilkinson811 and LinkedIn Phil Wilkinson. And early next year, I'll be launching my mental fitness coaching service, and really looking forward to helping many others go on the journey that I've been through.
Wonderful. And to all of our listeners in Barcelona, you probably will meet Phil at some point as he floats around to all the different groups.
Just get up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, before 10 a.m. If you get up after 10, you'll never meet Phil.
This is a takeaway. Maybe daters need to change their schedule of when to meet.
Yeah,
go
you
out.
never know.
Just saying.
You never
7
know.
a.m. is the new 2 a.m.
Yeah. For 40-year-olds it is. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, Phil, again for coming on our show. And thank you to our listeners. If you like this episode, why don't you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? In the review, you can tell us, what did you learn from Phil? What did you learn from this conversation? Have you been on a similar journey? That is the best way to tell us your feedback. And of course, again, 5 stars. That's the only way we will read the feedback.
And the way to get on the journey is to pick up How to Be Dateable, our book, our baby. How to Be Dateable, the essential guide to finding your person and falling in love. Dateablepodcast.com or howtobedateable.com.
On that note, we're going to wrap up this episode.
Stay dateable.